No, I can. It'd be awesome. What's up, everybody? This is Jamie Cain with the Channel Unfiltered. Today, I'm joined by the one and only John Harden. John, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I am excited to be on the show. It's fun for once. You know, in the back we were talking about how it's easy for you. You get to ask a lot of questions and you get to have a great debate. And I'm used to being on the other side too. So it's kind of fun for me to flip. I'm kind of
Yeah,
interested in being interviewed this time. And so thanks for having me on here, Jamie.
yeah. More people need to hear from you. I mean, I know you do your LinkedIn posts and do your thoughts, and obviously you have your pulse on the channel, but you're somebody that is well respected, thinks a lot, and clearly spends a lot of time paying attention to what's happening, and people respect your opinion. So, yeah, happy to have you be heard today.
Well, I appreciate it. That's too kind for a Midwest guy. So thank you.
And go Colts, by the way. I
And
we're both
Roosters.
Colts fans.
I know if we got a Hoosiers helmet on the way here.
There you go. Yeah. I still think I commented on one of your LinkedIn posts. I kind of adopted the Hoosiers. I don't really have a college team, so I kind of adopted the Hoosiers because I love Signetti. He coached at JMU, where I'm from in Virginia. It's only 45 minutes away. So him going to Indiana, I was rooting for the guy. I really liked his attitude. And I genuinely believe it is the greatest turnaround and one of the greatest college stories, maybe the greatest college story of a college football story of all time, dude. Like incredible, man. Incredible.
It was wild, man. I traveled all over for their final bowl games, and Miami was electric, man. And I I
Yeah.
I, I was waffling. It's like this is not AI thought leadership, but you know what? I use that as champions. We just got to celebrate it. That's all that was.
Yeah. That's
So
awesome, dude. Well, congratulations, man. I was rooting for him. So, well, John, just real fast for people who don't know who you are, which I'm sure there's not many out there, but if they don't know who you are, little background on who you are, what you done.
yeah. Hey, John Harden, currently right now co-founder at a stealth company. Super early exploring the space around AI in the MSP world. Big surprise. That's pretty much all I talk about these days. Very vaguely exploring what's going on in our space. I'm excited to talk to you about some of the learnings I've found, some of my predictions from earlier in the year. But my background, and I've been in this MSP world since I was 16 years old. It is my industry. I don't know anything but the MSP world. I started as a T1 help desk guy, self-taught software engineer at 14. In the help desk, I grew not anxious. I grew impatient, and I started building software to help my life easier. I always joke, you go through like a 19 Nation Connects or a Pax8 Beyond or like any of these big halls. And for a while there, it's like everything I looked at, I was like, I built a really crappy version of this software at my MSP to make my life easier. And that kept going until one of the things kind of got a hook. I built a unified communications as a service platform back when there used to be a little bit of meat on the money for the telecom industry. So after 9 years in the MSP world, I spun that out with my MSP CEO, and we took that business. We grew it for about, I want to say 5 years. Unfortunately, COVID came around. Things got a little bit different in the telecommunication era. Still continued to grow, but I took the time to leave at that point. Kind of good timing. I left January 2020, depending on how you want to look at it. What's coming next, but I took a few months off. I went and snowboarded, hung out. I remember taking my flight back home from Breckenridge, and I'm landing on the plane and I'm reading the news. I'm reading COVID. I'm reading like a mysterious flu in China, and I'm reading markets, reacting, and I'm looking at like all this turmoil going on. Meanwhile, my start week was next week. My start week was literally like the week after all of this chaos. And I just remember thinking, what have I gotten myself into? And I was fortunate. My owner at the time reached out. He's like, hey, we still have a place for you. There's still a home here. Things are uncertain, but you're welcome to come back. And I'm grateful for that. But I put my nose in and I said, you know what, we're going to do this. We're going to go head deep and we're going to make this thing happen. And that was the birth of Saslio. That's a whole journey. That's a whole podcast probably one day, on all the failures I did at Saslio and all the things that went right and all the things went wrong. But that's when I built my first company of my own. The others I was founder, starting team, but not the title. SaaS was a journey. We introduced SaaS management to the MSP space alongside Augment, and Derek Belair did a great job educating the space. Jim Lippy did an amazing job educating around SaaS alerts. And it was really us three for a long time. And now there's a lot of entrants. SaaS management's not this unknown thing in our space, but we were carving new territories. Instead of taking the path most traveled, we were cutting down trees, and we were all doing it together, trying to educate the space. And got acquired by Auvik in 28 months. It was a rapid kind of breakneck journey. Went into Auvik. I stuck with them for a handful of years. I got to do product. I got to do, I did product marketing when I first came in to help grow and scale SaaS. I went into Auvik SaaS management is what it is now. Then I did a year in product where I tried to ride out our long vision and our long tail of SaaS management, what it looks like in 10 years in the MSP space. My last year was an AI transformation and corp dev over at Auvik, and it was super freaking fun. Our company, Auvik, was, cutting edge in a lot of areas, but AI was one we hadn't put our toes deep in yet. I went on a leave as my first baby girl, Lucy, got here. And I spent like that 3 months of leave poking around with AI, and I came back and I was like, we're doing this. And so I got to lead a lot of that transformation, a lot of that education, a lot of that unknown. That was in, what would it be? We're 2024. So it was like things were just starting to ramp up. And I took Auvik through our transformation, and we went from, a handful of people in our company using it and a handful of point cases to where by the end of it, we had everybody in our company using it. There were only one or two laggard departments. The rest were lit up green, actively using it with custom GPTs. There was value being created daily. We were tracking one of the wrong metrics, but we were tracking what's called, weekly active usage. As a SaaS person, you probably know it, Jamie. But that was what you tracked in 2024. And so we tracked it, or in 2025, I suppose. And we got up to 80% WAU. I still think it's a good leading indicator if you have people actively using it. But nowadays, it's more about like use case management and all these other metrics you're supposed to track. And that's what kind of, inspired me. I decided it's time. I've been at Auvik for a while. I've done a lot of fun things. I'm grateful for the time. The people I work for, fantastic. I learned a lot, but it was ready to start a new journey. And so I left Auvik and took a little bit of quote unquote garden leave. I learned that term after. And here I am. I'm heads deep again. I'm carving a new trail. I'm on a new path. It's a long answer, Jamie, and I know you're probably itching to ask questions, but
no, you're good, man.
That's where I'm at. I'm at, March of 2020. At least there's no COVID era going on right now, but at the very beginning of the discovery phase and the learning phase and the drinking through the faucet phase. And it's such a fun phase for me. I am just lit up with energy to go solve this super complex. What are MSPs going to do with AI? How are they going to take it to market? How are they going to transform their business? What's real? What's fun? What's not? What's noise? Like all of it in real time, I'm learning. And so I'm super excited to talk today, man. We could go a million different directions. But yeah, that's why I post on LinkedIn every day. I'm learning something new every day. All I want to do is help people learn about it.
This is not one of the topics I was going to dive into, but you said it. And I think it's something that I hear a lot from MSPs as we, as we talk to them about adoption and getting their teams to adopt AI, right? They see their technicians using tools like ChatGPT, which they prefer them not to use for a lot of reasons that we could go into, but won't. At Auvik, and getting those adoption rates up, the average weekly usage up, right? What are some like quick hitters that you would suggest for MSPs that are actively adopting AI tooling? And because one of the things, because being somebody outside the MSP channel, coming from the SaaS world, right, was technicians at MSPs get tools thrown at them all the time.
Oh yeah,
right? Like, hey, we're adopting this tool, we're doing this, we're doing that. Here, use it. And oftentimes they don't, or they use it for like a little bit and they stop using it because it feels like it's being forced in their workflow. They're not seeing the value, et cetera, right? So I don't know if you have some quick hitters for MSPs on how they can get their people to adopt AI tooling as they deploy it.
Yeah, I think one book that I read and took a lot of learnings from was McKinsey. Not that's not the book, but McKinsey did a big study on the book called Superhuman, and it's a super interesting book to pick up and think about.
Hmm.
AI is change management. Everybody wants to think about it as a technology transformation, and the technology is the smallest piece of all of it. Like, I don't mean that and to say like, Jamie with HelpGhost is not the smallest chunk of the
Right.
transformation, but it's the
Yeah.
smallest of what needs to be focused on. A few quick hitters. What do we do at Auvik? Like, it's a leadership and it's change management change. Like, this is more cultural than technical. And what I mean by that is, you know, it starts top down. Leaders need to adopt it and they need to learn it and they need to work downstream. Now, it's also happening bottoms up because your employees are using it. Whether, this was my whole stint for 6 years, Shadow Gen AI, like they're using it. The data's out there. That I think I did a talk at IT Nation that said if they have more than 10 employees, there's a 92% chance they're using AI. Then more than 25 employees, it's like 98% chance there's AI in their business.
Mm.
There's more than 2 or 3 tools. So there's a lot of usage. And so as a leader, you need to identify what's the policy going to look like. You need to identify what's the transformation going to look like. You also need to identify like how you're going to talk to your company. What I mean by that is like, I remember sitting with our HR leader and our CEO at the time, and it's like, we need to go into that, that's that first meeting that says, hey, we're going to transform this company. And we need to address the elephant in the room, which is I'm going to automate away jobs. If I adopt AI, they're going to get rid of me. If you don't address that, you can't begin the transformation. And maybe your strategy is to replace employees, but you need to figure out probably a better messaging there or a better strategy to reallocate employees. But employees are pushing back a little bit because they're seeing the news articles and all the automation and replacement of employees. And so the very, very, very first thing you have to do out there is distill the FUD for your employees, and you have to do it with a reality and with confidence. And so that's the first step. That opening meeting has to be about reality, the transformation. At that time, everybody was saying it, people still say it, but like, AI is not going to replace you. It's somebody with AI that's going to replace you. And that's real. But it's about just being real with the company about what the plan is. And then from there, a couple tactical things. Education. I did company-wide education trainings. I did 4 of them on our core platform. We used ChatGPT Enterprise at the time. But I did weekly trainings where we were doing a workshop. So we would, hey, like, here's how to prompt. Don't forget that some people don't even know how to prompt. You and me, we're AI natives. Like, there are still people that have never even used a tool. So go to the basics and then expand. Our workshops were really powerful. What they ended up doing is we would match 2 people from all across the company. So it's kind of a networking thing too. We'd say, like, put this prompt in and talk about it and do this prompt. And what do you think you should do next? And, micro learning workshop that worked really effectively. We did 6 of them. We brought the sessions back later in the year for people that were new. That was super critical. And then one other really tactical item, we did something called AI Hack in 5. Almost every company has an all company meeting. It's that 30-minute, that hour meeting. I don't know if you do it on a Monday or Wednesday or Friday or whatever it is. Take 5 minutes of the tail of that meeting and build a list of people at the company that can present how they're using AI to change their day-to-day. We had a long list. We had people sharing AI Hack in 5s for months. And what that does is that starts to spin up the use cases in their head. They start to go, oh, Jamie's using it for this use case. Well, even though I'm in accounting and Jamie's over in sales, I can apply that here in accounting in this response area where I'm responding to customers. And the biggest barrier for AI adoption in a lot of cases is use case adoption or use case identification and use case adoption. And so when you start creating this culture of use case transformation and this like healthy culture of AI adoption, that's when the compounding effects start to kick in. It's just like any other investment. It's really heavy up in the front, and then it takes a while to return, and then it becomes compounding. AI is the same. It's a J curve. Like, it costs a lot up front. The change is scary. You're in the trough of sorrow. Is this ever going to change? And then you get on the other side, but it requires iterative. It requires, constant change or constant communication. This can't be something you say at the top of your lungs on a quarter one meeting and then get to the end of quarter two and go, well, why did anybody transform? It requires weekly engagements, weekly management, weekly surveys. So workshops, level set, dispel the FUD, weekly engagements, and then monitoring and observability are critical, like making sure you are using it. It's not cheap. Watch those licenses, and do micro workshops with each department. There isn't a single department across Auvik we were able to find 1 to 2 use cases of a custom GPT that we couldn't implement to make them a little bit easier. Now, they didn't change the game. We didn't get rid of employees. We just became more efficient. We rolled out AI, and we found all sort of use cases to start going from there. And so it's changed. It's cultural. It's change management. You hear it all the time, but like let it sit into your head this time. If you're finally hearing it for the 15th time, it's cultural change, not technology change.
Yeah, I think one thing too is as I listen to you list all those things off, one thing that I think you have to also start with is genuine belief from a leadership standpoint. This is going to improve not only your business but your people's lives, right? By adopting. Like, one thing I can speak from personal experience, I mean, or I can only speak from personal experience when we've said, hey, this is not about replacement. This is about enhancement for you. It's about making your life better. We want to be human first AI. I think that's the best use case of AI, is helping people be more efficient, enhancing their lives, making them hate their lives, or the mundane tasks, or the little things that they would like to automate but haven't been able to, doing those things up front to be more efficient, combat the burnout a little bit. But once again, all of that starts with a genuine belief of, hey, we're not doing this because we're chasing, margins or wanting to replace you. Or like you said, they may, I hope they're not thinking that, but they may be thinking that. It starts with the communication of, we're doing this because we genuinely believe it's going to improve the business and improve your lives and make you more efficient, enhance your capabilities, right?
Yeah, I'll react to a couple things there. Let's start backwards. You said margins. Okay, sure. If you're going to increase your margins, here's my opinion on it, right?
Sure.
Let's look into a crystal ball in 3 years. HelpGhost is taken off. People are using tools like yours to automate their service desk delivery. Okay, great. Everybody's done it. Now what? You just squeeze the margins and take the money and go to an island? No, like, it's going to be a race to the bottom if you do that. And so what that means is you have to look at other things you're going to deliver to your client. And so if you're looking and you're going, oh, okay, HelpGhost, I'm thinking about putting this in my business and it's going to squeeze the margins. And my employees and my techs are worried about that. Maybe you communicate what you're going to do with the new time that's saved. Like, hey, guys, I know
100%, man.
I know you've wanted to learn cloud, or not cloud. Hopefully you've learned cloud by now. I know you want to learn AI, or I know you want to learn like a Copilot Studio or Azure Foundry. Like, I'm going to unlock your margins so that you can do this. Like, a stick is not the answer here. A carrot is. And so, the other point you had made, I'm just kind of distilling back. I had 3 thoughts on it. The second one you said is like, find that mundane task. That is like, I have this phrase I use it all the time called tip the domino. It's like everybody has had that moment many times in their life where something actually just clicks in your head, and like you can never unsee it. You can never unthink it. Your job internally is to click that in the person's head so that they can never unsee what life could be like with AI. And so from my perspective, unlocking that, or tipping the domino, as I say, it doesn't start with the most demonstrable ROI use case. Like, this is a bit of a counterintuitive thing. It starts with the most friction use case. And when I say friction use case, I would say that is going to be something that the part of the job that you dislike, hate, you just cannot handle it. Like, yes, it maybe only takes you a half hour a week to prepare reports and put your deck together to present at the or to present up to your department leader or whatever. But like, nobody loves that part of their job. Maybe there's 4 hours of your job that can be automated in the same effort. But if you start removing friction and mundane and pain from the employee, that tips the domino faster and it gets them bought in. Instead of them being like, oh no, they want to automate 4 hours of my job. That's like, my thing. You remove the thing that they dislike, and that's going to get them bought in. And so then you can go from there. I just think that's important. Like focus on the actual pain instead of just the most ROI. And then finally, you said earlier, AI, you said augment. There's a person locally here in India, his name's Santi, works at Pragmatico. He does AI transformational leadership. And I think a phrase that's stuck in my head really well is like, it's like Iron Man armor. If you really use AI right, it's just, it is Iron Man armor, and it lets you do all of these things you could never do before, and it lets you work at a breakneck speed. And so, it's kind of reactions. Obviously, Jamie, we could go from
no. So. Yeah. I was gonna say, I was like, it sucks that we have a limited amount of time here because there's a million other things, that I would love to talk about, but yeah.
You can fire at them. I think one thing we can talk. Let's focus on the predictions today.
And obviously that's what we had talked about before recording. Like, what do we really want to? And you're somebody that I think is very good, at least from what I've seen, at recognizing patterns. I think most great founders, that's a key skill set that they have or they develop, right? And I think that you have that. And so obviously you're always paying attention. I said at the beginning of the podcast that you clearly have your pulse on what's happening in the channel, not only because like you're in it, but because I think you genuinely care about it. Like you said, this is all that you know, and you care about the people in the channel, the jobs that are affected, the industries that like I said, coming from outside the MSP space, coming into, I'm like, dude, you talk about like a backbone of an economy. Like, yeah. I mean, there's nothing more backbone than the MSP channel, considering just how much they protect and do for SMBs. Small to medium-sized businesses. So with all that being said, I think it's because you care and you want to see the channel continue to grow and do well, which it obviously is. But it's undergoing a massive, or it seems like it's the beginning of a massive shift in a lot of ways from my perspective. But I want to see what are things that you're seeing? What are things that you're recognizing, patterns that you see that you feel like people need to know about and be paying attention to?
Oh, there's my Midwest coming in, man. I don't know if anything I'm saying they need to know about. Like, I think it's my opinion on what's happening, but I can by no means be the definition of change was happening in our space.
I need you to be clickbait here, John. I need you to be like YouTube clickbait. If you don't,
John Harden to make money today. I don't care. Okay, I think the best way to do this, and this is what we alluded to, is the predictions post I put out last week. And I think it's a good framework for us to chat through here. I've been doing a lot of interviews and a lot of conversations, and I've been doing them, I'm obviously building a business. So, let's just be straight up there. That's why I'm having these conversations, because I want to know what's going on. But I've come down to like 8 core predictions, and we're going to do our best here, Jamie. I put them in the back notes. We're going to walk through them one through 8. We got 20 minutes, so we got like 2 minutes of predictions. So I think I'll just start rattling them off, and we'll start talking through them, but keep me honest. I want to get through all 8 today here. The prediction number 1 is that the biggest lie MSPs tell themselves about AI tools will finally break. And what does that mean? What that means is that MSPs, you said it earlier, my boss just bought this tool. He told me I have to adopt it. It's another tool that I have to put in my arsenal, and I play with it and it churns. That is so real. And it's because the persona of how MSPs are normally built. They're mostly technical people. And so we look at technology as the solution. And so I'm not knocking it, but the thing that I think people are trying to tell themselves right now is if we just buy the right tool, we can deliver AI to our customers, and we can solve this AI checkbox that needs to be checked. And I think that is the wrong way to look at it, though I believe it is the most common way that people are probably looking at it right now. What's your thoughts?
I'll say this because I want to make sure that we get through all these points. Yeah. The MSP space is a people business. Whether and every, I mean, you could argue every industry, every niche is people business, right? But I've said this before, and I'll say it again. When we got into this space, what became obvious very quickly was the tech stacks are universally the same, basically from one MSP to another. What really separates you is your people. right? And so giving them that is a competitive differentiation. I made a LinkedIn post a couple of weeks ago that said AI stopped being your competitive differentiator when everyone started using it, right? And I believe that as an AI native founder, and so what you're saying it's all about giving your people the leverage. It's all about like this is not a technology. This is not a technology problem to be solved. It's a people enhancement to be offered.
Yeah.
It would be my gut reaction to that. So
Yeah. And what you didn't use the words, but the words that exist there is it's outcome oriented. People don't choose.
absolutely, yeah,
People didn't choose HelpGhost in their business because they decided, hey, I just need a new tool to, because I want a new tool. There's a lot of tools you can go buy that aren't HelpGhost, and it's about prioritization of your problems. But they chose HelpGhost because they had an outcome in mind, which was to help their ticket desk be more efficient so that they can focus on
yes,
other problems in their business. What I'm saying there is you have to be outcome oriented and not tool oriented. And that's why the title of my post was like the dawn of the end of the tool era and the dawn of the outcome era. And so that's the mindset that they need to be on when it comes to AI, not what tools and shiny things can I go play with? What outcome do I want in my business? And then let me go find a tool.
yeah, and it's people that drive the outcomes, right? To your point, I didn't say it, but that's you helped me articulate what I was trying to get at, which is it's the people that drives the outcome. Obviously, John's like, yeah, I know, but
Well, I know what we're saying because you're right.
yeah. That's why I think, like, I can only speak about our company, right? Like when we priced our company, and you see more and more AI native companies doing this or haven't done this, because I took inspiration from other companies outside the channel that had done this. A lot of pricing is based on outcome based pricing. It's not per seat or per user or whatever it may be. It's what are the outcomes that you, or at least this is what AI native companies, I believe, in my opinion, should be doing. What are the outcomes that you're trying to achieve? And we're going to drive revenue off of that, right? And that ties in hopefully to the purpose of the adoption of the tool, clearly.
Yeah, it's also super incentivized. We used a help desk tool at Auvik. I won't share its name, but I love their pricing model. It was per ticket resolved. You know what? Like, who's more aligned to make that product better, and who's more aligned to use that tool than us and the vendor? Like, I know if you're charging me like that, then I know you're going to drive and strive to do better. And so it's a great alignment pricing. Focusing on outcome. It creates friction though in the MSP era, because MSPs were built to standardize and we're built to take the pricing and pass it through to our customers. And it really kind of breaks a little bit of those economics. And so that's a challenge we're seeing out there, but that's a whole nother can of worms to open.
Okay. So you have prediction number 2 is AI monetization will finally move past innovators, but slowly.
Yes. That one really focuses on the fact that everybody right now is trying to see, okay, the ticket tool like HelpGhost, they've improved their business. They've now gotten their business streamlined. They're like, we have these increased margins. Now let me go help my customers do it. Everybody's in the pilot phase of that. This is not, I put a post out today. I said, don't let a vendor's quota push you to making a decision on how you serve your customers. Like genuinely right now, the best thing you can be doing in this pilot phase is to be talking to your customers and understanding what they need. If we go back to my first point, it's about outcomes. If you focus on tools instead of outcomes, and you just throw a tool in their stack and say, hey, this is what you need, you're probably wrong. Customers don't just want another AI wrapper type tool. They want outcomes in their business. And so I think why I say it's going to be slow is because right now everybody's in pilot phases and they're really not talking to their customers too much. And they don't know what they want. And so they need to slow down. But I really think a lot of people need to realize, I think we're closer to 5 to 10% of MSPs monetizing AI by the end of this year, not the 50 or 100 that everybody wants.
I agree. Yep.
So just slow down and do it right instead of feeling blood pressuring you to making a decision that's not good for your customers.
There's a saying that I love that it's one of the many internal mantras that we have, which is be obsessed with the problem, not the solution.
Yeah.
Right. I've told people, actually just very recently in recent, I don't care what HelpGhost looks like. Yeah. I care about the problems that we're solving. Right. And so if you apply that to the MSP, from my perspective as a SaaS founder, it's not about the tooling. It's not about the tools. It's not about like, it's okay, what can increase the most margin, to kind of go back to that kind of conversation. It is what is in the stack or not in the stack. With maybe it's removal.
Yeah.
What is the problem to be solved? And that's what we're obsessed with. The solution will naturally become apparent because our first focus is solving that problem. Right.
Agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that
go
kind
ahead.
of leads into number 3 here. I know we're getting crunched on time. I talk a lot.
No, you're good.
I say number 3 here is the clearest lagging indicator will be customer silence. That's not a KPI you track normally. That's actually antithetically, that is a KPI you anti-track. What I mean by that is most MSPs have been conditioned to say customer silence is a good thing. Customer silence right now, if they're not coming to you and they're not asking you about AI, is not a good thing. What it means is very likely that they're going to their local chamber events, they're going to their local golf outings, they're going to their local online webinars. I don't know why they're golf outings. Golf outings is where they're like talking to their buddies about AI, but it's the indie chamber events and the online webinars where they're learning about AI. And you know what that means? If they're learning it online or they're learning it from a local event in their space, it means they're not learning it from you. And so the answer here is just have the conversation. You don't have to have the answer again. You don't have to force them a tool, but you have to start talking to them about what they're thinking about. Because if you don't just ask one simple question in your next QBR, which is, how are you thinking about AI? Then you're being let out. And that means that another MSP is educating your customer somewhere. Maybe not now, maybe not by the end of 26, but by 27, 28, like if you're not having that combo, you're being let out of the room. So
your next one was because I'm leading out this list that you're reading this list you sent me. Prediction 4 is selling tools will become the new selling on uptime.
Yeah. So for the longest time, MSPs were just basically all about selling on uptime. When you buy an MSP, you're not buying anything more. Hiring an MSP is the better phrase to say there. Sorry. But when you're hiring an MSP, you're hiring nothing more than insurance. You're basically buying your insurance. You're saying, I'm going to pay you X per month to know that my business does not go down. And that's what we've talked about. Like we've talked about that and we've standardized around that, and that's great. But AI forces MSPs to develop an entire new mindset beyond uptime. It's focused on business problem framing. It's on outcome-driven discovery. It's on revenue and margin discussions. It's about asking your customer how they make money. Just keeping them up does not make them money. It does not make them better. It makes them not lose money. But if you have that conversation, how do you make $1? That's going to probably unlock more about your customer than you had any other conversation about telling them how many tickets you closed or what your CVEs are or what you think the strategy is for their movement to this cloud. Like, how do you make $1? If you haven't asked that question to your customer, like that is the next question you need to talk to them, because it's all about outcomes. It's not about the tools. It's not about the check boxes. So
that one is really interesting because coming from my background and just, like I said, my background is SaaS sales, right? That's where I started my career. That's where I spent most of my time in my professional career. And it's monetization and the ROI, the adoption of what you're selling is like, that's how you sell your product. Like that is foundational to how you make commission as a sales guy, how you find leads, how you prospect, how you sell them on your product, right? And so hearing you say that, it's just really interesting because at the end of the day, it's all like, it just seems so, I don't want to say obvious, but coming from my background, it's like, that is a sales requisite, right?
Yeah. And also it's worth noting, right? Like, and I don't mean this in, like the SaaS industry has it all figured out, but they spend billions of dollars hyper optimizing sales funnels.
Yes. 100%.
Still what they do. The sales playbook for SaaS companies is surreal when you get down to it. So just steal the way they do it and bring it to your customer, but it is going to require outcome-oriented focus. It's going to require tactics like MedPick or something, a framework that focuses you to be oriented on the business. And so that's going to help unlock AI. Not AI. It's going to help unlock sales. Who cares about AI at that point?
I mean, for MSPs real fast, I highly recommend the book, The Challenger Sale.
I like that.
It's a great book, and I think it really fits what MSPs, how you operate as a consultant. MSPs by nature are consultants in a lot of ways. And so the Challenger Sale is about consultative selling, right? So I just highly recommend it book. The next one you have is, workflow conversations will still be the hardest part?
Yeah, this just boils down to these all kind of pile on each other, right? Like the hardest part isn't about implementing AI because that's the technology piece, right? Like that's the thing we're great at. We've spent years building skills on is turning on features and turning on products. The hardest part is going to be understanding their business and having a real, what I keep calling the mini Deloitte problem, like having a real consultative conversation with your customer and getting to know how they make the dollar. That's the biggest barrier for MSPs unlocking revenue. It's not tech. It's not all these other things. It's building the muscle and having the reps to talk about the business and the outcomes. Because once you start doing that, then you start to understand there's automation use cases, there's AI use cases, there's just a small little check boxes and other tools that make their life easier. Like it's just a different perspective instead of saying, hey, we kept you up, we kept you online all last year. Aren't you glad we did that? Like it's about talking to this. It's about talking to the CEO. What the CEO cares about: margins, revenue, efficiency. It's about caring about money, and it's about breaking that insurer combo. And I'll flow us into number 6 because I know we're being top of time here, but which is the smallest win will be the most important. That I said this earlier. Tip the domino. Like if you want to have workflow conversations from the earlier prediction, that's great, but there's so much low hanging fruit. Just get them a win. Don't focus on building the 37-step automation that drives them. Yes, it might drive them $100,000 of efficiencies next year, but just make their CEO's life a little bit better with AI. And I'll bet you got a seat at the table. So just find a little bit of win, click that aha moment where they really learn, and that's going to make a big difference.
Yeah. You said the next one is managed intelligence is real. And this is a very interesting one for me for a lot of reasons, but I'll let you dive into that.
Yeah, it's a real term. Is my gotcha. That's my clickbait. I just don't know if it's completely real in the day-to-day yet. It's transitional. Right now, MIPs look a lot more like a couple of execs who left an MSP to start a new firm and are serving those MSPs. It's a little bit of oil and water, actually, because when you bill on outcome-oriented pricing and you bill on project revenue, it's antithetical to the way that MSPs have been told for the last 5 years that they need to standardize on monthly recurring and drop the projects. So you can't do this AI transformation if you are dropping projects and consulting revenue effectively. And so it's antithetical to say that an MSP will transition to an MIP unless we all can agree that the metrics that matter aren't just standard recurring revenue. And when I say all, that's private equity, that's VC, that's the talking heads at the top at the conferences. Like we have to accept that project revenue's here and it's back to the break fix days. But it's not as poisonous as we once had it in. And so I think it's transitional. The thing is, like, it's transition. Everyone's scrambling for answers. But the thing is, it's going to get simpler. We're going to crack it. You in your head really as an MSP right now have to go, do I want to be an early innovator? And do I want to really push my heels into this? And is this going to be the thing that takes me from $1 million to 10 million or 5 million to 50 million or 100,000 to 1 million? Like, is this the thing that's going to add a zero to the end of my business? Okay, go all in. Or you could choose to be the MSP who goes, you know what? I'm going to let those guys take bets. I like my safe company. I'm going to wait. The answer will be here in a handful of years. We're not going to make it a handful of years and find ourselves in a position where we're not doing anything related to AI with our customers. So I always advocate, like, who do you want to be? Are you the laggard? Which I think is, by the way, a totally real move. Like if you're conservative in your business, stay as the laggard. Let everybody else pay the budget to experiment. Or do you want to be kind of the innovator? And that's what I mean. It's a transitional phase. There's people across the spectrum. Don't feel like everybody's being an innovator. And that'll lead to my final prediction here on the last couple minutes before I have to hop, which is that we're going to laugh in 5 years about how much slower this went than we thought it would. I hearken to Matt Lee. Matt Lee says, I was always right about every prediction. I was just never right about the timing. And that's what this is. We're right. We know it's going to happen. The transformation is going to happen. This is not an if, it's a when. And fundamentally, it's just going to be funny when we all look back in 5 years and go, remember when we were sitting here on these podcasts in 2025 and 2026, and we all said it was going to be next year, all this change, it's going to be so much slower. And that's okay. It gives you an advantage as an MSP. It means you can cut through the FUD, you can cut through the noise, you can stop being, in charge of somebody else's quota to force something on the customers they want. You can take the time to do it right for your customers. Make sure that transformation is not gimmicky. And it means you have the time to actually identify as a business what you're looking at. And so that was my like ultimate prediction. And you know, the final takeaway is it doesn't matter when you start. You do need to get started though. Like it's not a thing that like you don't have to take all your headcount and put all those eggs in a basket, but you need to start educating yourself on this problem and these opportunities. Even if you don't execute them, the second best time to plant a tree is today, and the third best time to plant a tree is I don't know. I guess in a year, but like
you got to plant the tree.
You got to plant the dang tree. And so, you know, I rattled through the predictions. I thought we could get so much. This has been.
We'll have to do a part 2, man. We'll have to do a part 2 and need a little more time. I appreciate you coming on. I know you have a hard stop, so we'll get you out of here. I couldn't agree more with all your predictions, especially that last one. I was just talking to somebody the other day where I just told him, just as a real quick example, that everyone's talking about the AI, like we're at the crest of the wave and it's about to crash. We're more at the swell. And I think people need to understand that. So I'm really happy to hear you say that. And like I said, I couldn't agree more. Thank you so much for the time, man. Like I said, I will do a part 2 when you get some more time in your schedule. Where can people find you, support you, follow you to hear these things and more?
Maybe you could drop my LinkedIn in the post show notes or something like that.
Okay.
But
I got you.
Follow me on LinkedIn. Give me a holler. If you want to take this conversation and talk about it more, you know, I don't have a sales quota. Happy to just chat about the problems. So, love to have the conversation. And thanks for having me on here, Jamie. Really, just follow and keep up with the content. I'm putting it out there for people.
All right, man. Well, that's been the Channel Unfiltered. Thank y'all for tuning in. We'll catch you next time. Bye.
Cheers.